Okay. We're live.
Hey everybody, welcome to another editions of Fat Tony Q&A. This time I think a lot of you are on YouTube, which is awesome. We're kind of trying out a new thing here, and it's nice. I gotta say, it sort of feels kind of cozy in here, just the three of us. And we're here, of course, with the awesome and great and beloved Jaffer Ali. Twitter superstar, constantly giving entrepreneurship advice, business advice, but also just kind of talking about tons of stuff. I mean, the three of us have known each other through, kind of the Twitter circles of Nassim Taleb and RWRI, but then also just talking from everything from, email marketing to Jeffrey Epstein. So we're so happy to have you here. We did one of these before, and we had a lot of, it blew our listener count up. And I remember getting, like, for weeks afterwards, getting DMs and emails and stuff from people asking if we had recorded it, which is what got us to start recording these as opposed to just doing them live, So
I want to add something there, Jack. So I want to extend personal thanks. Jaffer was the first ever Q&A we did at Fat Tony's, and
right.
I think we did try and record it, but we didn't know anything about broadcasting, YouTube, Scream, anything back then, and it just the sound recording didn't work. So we're so pleased to have you back. We're definitely going to make sure it records this time, and really just an enormous thanks, Jaffer, because without that first Q&A, without you volunteering, I think a lot of we've had so many great Q&As since, and you were the trailblazer. So thank you so much for that.
Wow, it's an honor to be here, and anything I can do to help. I think what you guys are doing is very good for the community, and you're building a great community. So I'm glad to be part of it.
Well, and you're always talking about, say, like, interesting topics that you have deep experience in too. And that's another reason, like, talking with you is so much fun, because we talk about entrepreneurship and all these subtopics they're in. Like, a lot of times your advice starts with, well, this one time I did, and like things like that, so it's the greatest, man. On that note,
that's one of the advantages of being 2 days older than dirt.
You look fantastic. You look amazing.
Can I add, for the benefit, obviously it's a very tight-knit community here, and we all know Jaffer really well, but for the benefit of first-time viewers, people who are tuning in, maybe newer members of the Fat Tony's community, Jaffer, could you just give us sort of a quick couple of minute introduction, background, sort of what you're all about?
I would describe myself as a serial entrepreneur. I seem to gravitate towards new things. So back in in 1980, it was the beginning of the home video industry. I got into that at the very beginning part. Got into the infomercial industry in the late 1980s, and the fulfillment company and a direct-to-consumer catalog. Sold that in 1995, and then started doing my own infomercials. And we did Riverdance and Lord of the Dance and about 25 others that we actually lost all the money we made on the good ones. And moved all of our business online in 1998 and created a media company. And when we couldn't sell our own media, we would sell our own products. So we had concurrently e-commerce and a media company, which we've maintained both of those, business. Mm-hmm. And we flip back and forth whenever the situation requires it. So if there are e-commerce issues like supply chain problems, we will sell more advertising, okay? And we'll go back and forth, and we monetize our own media with our e-commerce offers. And that's where we're at right now, so. you know.
Wow. So you maintain these two. Are they really like run like separately, or kind of just like two different sides of like services you provide?
They're complementary, okay? Because so they're like divisions. Because we own so much media, and we will put our own offers inside the media. And most of our media is email. We own a lot of video impressions as well. And so we find that most e-commerce companies want to be media companies. Most media companies want to be e-commerce. We were doing both right from the beginning. If you want to know, I mean, Amazon, their fastest growing division and the fastest growing profitable division is selling media. It's going to do $22 billion in 2021. So selling media to their retailers that are platform. So we've been doing that right from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, going back to literally the beginnings of VHS.
Wow.
Did you actually, if I remember correctly, you had some story about getting copies made when there was something like less than 500,000 VHS players in the United States, or some.
Yeah,
there was some number that I remember kind of blowing me away. I'm misremembering it, but.
Yeah, there were less than 100,000 video recorders when we entered the home video industry. And
wow.
So we were right there, right at the beginning of where the studios were actually suing Sony because they didn't want the VCRs to tape programming that they had on television. And eventually, obviously, the studios created their own home video division. And for 5 years, we were the exclusive distributor for ABC News on home video, which was gotten really my hands dirty with the whole news media organization.
Wow. Oh, let me, if I remember correctly, was this at the end of a local news broadcast when they said, if you want a copy of this, write to blah, 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 or is that what you guys were doing?
Yeah, we were the first ones to offer any programming at the end of Nightline. You could get that night's video of it. And so we actually had, all these VCRs all pointed to the satellite, and people could call 1-800-ABC-4000 and then call this number in Omaha, Nebraska, and they say what date they wanted, and then they would download those orders to us, and then we would duplicate them, and then we'd ship them out.
Wow. Can I
remember that. I remember that. Sorry, go ahead, Sebastian.
Is this a conscious strategy of entering new marketplaces, new technologies? Because I know you've recently gotten to NFTs as well, and you've minted a couple of NFT collections. Is this a kind of conscious strategy you use because you can't out-compete entrenched markets, so you look for new areas in technology and growth, or is it more just sort of taking opportunities as you see them?
I think it's a little bit of both. I was either blessed or cursed with this curiosity. So we got into the crypto industry right at the beginning. Right. Actually started studying in 2015. In Montreal, we had a Talib meetup in Montreal, and where we met up was this loft where the owner was into crypto. Okay, and it just that he was a huge fan of Nassim, and so it was at that meetup in 2015 that I started to really learn a lot about the crypto. The NFTs to me, is very similar to the beginning of the home video industry.
Mhm.
And so, but I mean, consciously, I do like to go into new areas where there are less rules. Okay. At the beginning of an industry, whether it be crypto, NFTs, home video, the infomercial industry, email industry, the online video industry, there's at the beginning, you're all trying to figure out how to do things, what the rules are. And I'm always pushing against the rules. I really don't like rules anyway. So if you, it fits with my psychological matrix, if you will, the new industries.
I would like to ask you, because I don't think we talked about this last time. I would like to hear a little bit about Riverdance and bringing Riverdance to the United States. Because, yeah, I don't know, it's a Friday afternoon and that feels like kind of like a wild and interesting story from something that I think we all experienced. I remember having the video and my mom was into it. Sebastian, I don't know what it was like in England, but in the United States, like
exactly the same.
There was, like crazy. All of a sudden, everybody had a copy of Riverdance. And it was also very cool, the fast moving, and he was breaking world records, and Michael Flatley was a whole thing.
Right. Michael Flatley grew up just a few miles from our office in Palos, Illinois, but we actually didn't produce it or introduce it to the United States. Been in the United States for 6 months, and it was unsuccessful. And my sister, who's my business partner, was at a video convention, and it just was playing on a big screen TV, and she saw everybody mesmerized around the TV. And she came back after the conference and said, "Hey, there's this thing called Riverdance." I said, "What's that?" She said, "It's kind of like these Irish dancers clod hopping, I said, I don't know, what that is. So we contacted Sony, which owned the rights, and it had been out in the home video industry for 6 months. And we said, we want to get the infomercial rights to this. And they said, well, it's been out for 6 months. I said, yeah, but we want to put it on TV and create the commercial. And so they said, well, how about if we be partners? Well, we had a very small company, and Sony said, well, we'll be 50-50 partners on it. So we said, well, okay, drew up the contract and watched the video several times. And then I wrote the commercial. I wrote the script. My sister produced the commercial. And then my cousin, who's my other business partner, he bought all the media. We contracted with fulfillment, and we put it out on the air. And we tested 2 different prices, one $19.99 and one $24.99. And the $19.99 just did so much better. And what happened is, because we were spending $1 million a week in media.
Wow.
Okay. And all of a sudden.
Just on Riverdance or
just on
all together?
Riverdance. No, this was just on Riverdance.
Holy shit.
And it drove, we did not own the retail rights. Well, what happened was we sold so many via the direct response commercials, we drove retail, and it became the #1 video for the year. They sold 32 million copies at retail, and it was largely because of our TV commercial. And we did not share in the profit or of the retail distribution. We just only had it for the television, and then we went into Canada. We did not own the rights for the England, the TV rights, but it solidified our relationship with Sony that survives to this day, though, because we made them a huge amount of money.
Well, I remember those commercials, and you hit something on the head when you said your sister was mesmerized by it, because on paper, Riverdance, you're like, oh, it's like tap dancing, but Irish. When you watch it, it's cool as hell. Like, it's very, very cool. And I think, like, whatever you did with the commercial, you must have, hit the nail on the head. Because that was, I mean, it was everywhere. And I remember that era of Riverdance, and it was, playing.
I'll tell you what, we got so lucky because we thought it was going to just be for Irish people. And so we went to where the Irish had the highest, density of population, like Chicago, Boston, whatever. And then we found out that it wasn't just for Irish. It was a, an international phenomenon. It became one, and I think that we were lucky to be at the right place at the right time. The commercial, we tested so many different commercials, and the one that we created at 1999 was the one that beat all the others, and it was the control, if you will. And anytime we tried to change it, it didn't work as well. So we just got lucky right off the bat, and it wasn't really skill, I got to tell you. But it was.
You're being modest.
No, not at all. I mean, I'm telling you that the success we had was entirely luck. Okay. Yes, we took the financial risk, but we could not recreate it. We could not recreate success.
Well, you also, if I remember correctly, this was an era when Cirque du Soleil kind of blew up for the exact same reasons. That not just because, like, I mean, the show was popular, but then the videos started showing up everywhere. And so maybe it was the environment was also primed for, such a thing to happen. Like, everyone had VCRs, making tapes was cheaper than it had ever been. Who knows, right? It could,
I just think that at the time it was a new medium, and you could experience the energy and passion that it had. And I think that the commercial, my sister did an amazing job producing the commercial, and actually she won an award for the best direct response commercial of the year. And again,
is that an Emmy? Oh, a Clio?
No, it was called NEMA, the National Infomercial Marketing Association. They their own category for the best direct response commercials. But again, it was hard to make a bad commercial when it was, an hour and 10 minutes of just pure energy.
So, Jaffer, I think in previous Q&As we've kind of split it between a half-hour chat and then kind of rapid-fire Q&As, but we're getting relevant questions on the live YouTube channel chat. So I think we should kind of weave them into the conversation if we can. So the first one I think that people wanted to ask, you're talking about luck being a factor, but I think Aaron Geo wants to know how much nature versus nurture shaped you as an entrepreneur.
Well, I think I'm constitutionally unable to work for anybody. And I'm a fifth generation entrepreneur, so it's hard to know, what I was born with and then what I've always done. I mean, I created a business in college, and it was always something I was doing. So I don't know if that has a really good answer. All I know is that I personally can't have a boss. Okay. And my father was like that. My grandfather was like that. So, it's probably, I can't separate the two. I wish I could.
Out of interest, what business did you grow up around? You mentioned your father being an entrepreneur.
Well, my father had a few. I'll go with the successful one. My father owned a kitchen cabinet factory. It had 150 employees in Illinois.
Wow.
And somebody came into his, he was the president of the company and he owned a fourth of the company. And somebody showed him a carbide tipped saw blade from Sweden. I guess Swedish steel is very good. Now, my father had a heavy Middle Eastern accent. And then, you know, the guy says, here, these are carbide tipped and they'll run, they'll cut smoother. You don't have to, you know, close down your line for, so you're going to have less downtime. My father took these blades and said, this is fantastic. He sold the kitchen cabinet company and became the exclusive distributor for the Swedish saw blade company. And introduced, you know, these carbide tipped saw blades all over the United States. Okay. And it was you know, before that, they would just be steel and then dull after, you know, very quickly, but carbide is very, very hard. And then my father got into, well, you have these carbide tipped saw blades. The carbide needs to be sharpened and you need diamond wheels to sharpen it. And then he got into the saw blade sharpening. And then he retired. He was 59 years old and moved to Arizona. And, you know, that
Very
was
nice.
it.
Well, I love the comparison between Michael Flatley and Riverdance and the carbide saw blades, because it'd be hard to find two things that were further on the spectrum, but both you saw something that was a great product that people would potentially, you know, you could move, that people would really want, you know, and, you know, you saw it was undervalued and took advantage.
Yeah, sure.
So I suppose related to entrepreneurship then, another question we've got coming through. You seem to be a built to flip entrepreneur. What's your view on built to last entrepreneurs?
Well, I mean, my current company, I've had 25 years. Okay. So, you know,
I thought that was something like the case.
right. So, no, personally, I don't like the idea to build to flip. You build to make that it is your passion. Okay. But I've moved from industry to different industry because I like the new industries that that don't have the rules. And sometimes, I mean, I'm part of the zeitgeist that creates those rules. So for the last 25 years, we've just added divisions onto our company to explore. So the NFTs, it's a new area. We're just putting it within our business. Email marketing, we have it in our business. Online video, we have it in our business. I mean, we got into the online video business in 1998. Mark Cuban owned a company called AudioNet, which became Broadcast. And we approached him to stream. Now, this is 1998. Everybody had AOL dial-up, you know, and we streamed midget wrestling. and then
So just
and then you
like what kind, like WWF style wrestling, or like
No.
real, or like Olympic style wrestling?
it was far actually. I mean, it's completely politically incorrect. You can't even use the word midget, so you know you might be canceled soon. But it was so bizarre and odd. But it was a 90-minute video of all these midgets wrestling, and Mark Cuban said, "Sure," and so it hit his company, started streaming it, and then. But it kept buffering and it was like a postage stamp. It didn't work out at all. but it was the you know, it was the precursor
Wow.
to videos
Wow.
with all of our products.
So
Wow.
so we're like where we're at right now with Netflix and the streaming wars and all this, it really, you know, one of the very, very first experiments with it was like a 90-minute midget wrestling video that was
Yeah,
I love
with
that.
Mark Cuban.
I love
Correct.
that.
Look how far we've come.
I don't know. I kind of want to see a Netflix midget wrestling special. I think that would be awesome.
If it was on, I would watch it. I would watch that if it was on, and you know, and it wasn't like exploitive and well,
You know
I guess
what?
it's I guess it's probably gonna be a little bit exploitive.
You would feel guilty, I promise.
It's kind of, you know, Jaffa, it reminds me a little bit. I think you mentioned 1998, but kind of early noughties, you saw a lot of these, like, do you remember bum fights that went really viral online for like essentially getting homeless people to do challenges and fight with each other?
Well, look at I remember distributing a video called Nostalgic Nudies. And these were 19 silent film, you know, it pretty tame, but you know, but back then I guess they would call it pornography. I mean, but it was nostalgic, you know, silent films. It was kind of bizarre, actually.
That's all right, man. I mean, okay, like let's be honest though, the home video network is where the weird stuff was, where all of that went, and that includes like, so I love movies. I watch a lot of movies, and in the 90s there was a lot of, I mean, there was a lot of bad independent movies that went straight to video, but there was some good stuff too. I think Desperado first went to, I know El Mariachi first went to video. You know, like there was the horror movie Cube, which became a huge hit, you know, kind of like a Blair Witch Project type thing with straight to video. There was some good stuff that, because straight to video is sort of it's almost like a YouTube, or I don't know if there's a direct comparison, but I have fond memories of watching straight to video things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, our family produced a film called Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
That's a great movie.
Yeah,
Ebert gave that
awesome
4
film.
stars. I mean, it's like a 91 or something % on Rotten Tomatoes.
I think 1990.
That is a great movie.
Michael Rooker, he was a local actor at the time before he became a star, but my family produced that film.
Wow.
87% on Rotten Tomatoes, and Rooker, you know, Michael Rooker today, he's in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I mean, he's huge. He's kind of like a, you know, a that guy kind of side character, but he's in the biggest movies that are out.
Sure.
Well done, sir. I had no idea that was the case. That is as a person who loves horror movies, but sometimes gets frustrated by how bad horror movies can be, that is a very good movie. Like much better than it has any right to be.
It's not really my cup of tea, but
yeah.
But Jaffa, this is what I love about you, because every time we talk to you, it just seems you can drop these awesome anecdotes and stories. And I remember last time we talked, you know, you just had so many cool stuff, and I just love it. It's just absolutely fascinating. And I want to bring back to NFT. So we've got a couple of questions on NFT coming through. Obviously, it's hot topic, really hot topic at the moment. So I think you've already answered the first part, which is tell us more about the NFT business. But what do you think the opportunities are in this space? And do you have any advice for anyone else wanting to enter it?
Well, I mean, the barrier to enter is very low. Okay, so, you know, for us, I'm saying, well, we're following some of the ways in which we made home video work back in the 80s and 90s. Okay, so we just released the whole Epstein collection of I Did Not Kill Myself and pictures of Jeffrey Epstein, right? We're coming out with a civil rights collection with Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Frederick Douglass with quotes. And these are pieces of history that have withstood the test of time. So the idea that we're not trying to create new memes, it's very difficult. So we're trying to either use historical references that have a Lindy feel to them, which is the Civil Rights Collection, the Whistleblowers Collection with Snowden, Assange, and Daniel Ellsberg, which is way before you guys' time. He was the whistleblower for the Pentagon Papers. He's not the right age because the NFT is for a younger audience, but we are trying to, capitalize on things that have pre-sold equity. It's still too soon to tell if that is going to be a successful strategy. I think that it's a tough road to hoe because the barrier to enter is so low and there's so many NFTs. So I think I'm not sure that this is going to actually work. It has the feel of a fad, but we're gonna still explore several more.
And
does this
Epstein
feel like
stuff, sorry, Jack. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna kind of going off what you said. Is this a bit of an exploratory move?
Absolutely.
Much as
absolutely.
Cool.
You see, the barriers to enter are low, which also mean that the cost to fail are low. The cost to mint NFTs are very low. So you can try different genres. You can try different areas that but for us, we're going to go after things that already have some kind of pre-sold equity because we're not going to create a meme. That's probably that's not that I think that's more of a young person's game.
And as you said, it's hard to do. I mean, it's 1 in a million. So in a certain extent, you're just like also just learning about the space for a really low cost.
Yeah, correct.
So what I wanted to ask Jaffer, you talked about obviously there's so many NFTs out there and trying to stand out in a marketplace. Is there an element with the Epstein one? Is there an element of kind of shock there? Because I know in the previous talk we talked about, I think you either produced or distributed the Faces of Death videos, which obviously had a shock element to them. Correct. Is that kind of another strategy you use?
Well, I'm not sure that I did not kill myself is really that worthy of being shocked. Although I did, it is a little maybe politically incorrect. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
But I think really we'll just throw a lot of things up against the wall and see if anything sticks. I know that that's a cliche, but the NFT space is geared towards that particular possibility.
Well, this is what you're kind of hearing all over the place is this idea that there's something here with NFTs and everybody's trying to figure it out. And I know for a fact that, like everybody and their mother are like doing NFTs of some kind or another of all shapes and sizes. So yeah, I mean, this is, who knows? I mean, this could be an insanely valuable space to know. And the valuable stuff might not even be apparent right now, in 10 years, who knows where it's going to be. But, like home video, you're in on the ground floor and you didn't get Flatly right away either. That's sort of a build to get, as we all know, you sometimes have to build to get those big wins.
Sure. I agree.
All right. We've got a ton more. We're not going to be able to get through all the questions, but I'm going to try and pick sort of the more interesting ones or certainly, well, the more interesting ones to me anyway. But so let me have a quick look at these. Okay, I think this is quite an open-ended one. So Jaffer, a couple of Factonius people wanted to know, Could you give any advice or share any experience about creating demand?
Well, I mean, I believe that I come from a generation that did not say build it and they will come. So yeah, so my mind is that creating demand is one of the more difficult things to do. And in order to do that, our route was to create our own media. So we have our own media. We probably mail, we have over 6.4 million daily deal subscribers to our, and we have approximately 850,000 subscribers to different content newsletters. So we have a newsletter called All About Bitcoin. We have one all about guns. We have healthy tips. We have bizarre news. We have clean laughs. We have Laugh-A-Day, which is a little more raunchy. So we own this media that we communicate to people. So we have about 7.5 million people a day that we're communicating with.
Wow.
So that's one way. But if you take a look at what our friend Guru has done, he's created a persona on Twitter. He has leveraged that persona, okay, and he gives away free content and he builds a database, and then so that he, can monetize, if you will, that persona, okay, with his content. He may not particularly use the same words that I am, okay, but essentially he's created a brand, and his brand is driving the sale of his, his content. So if you say, what advice that would I give? I would use the social media, but not be so mercenary. Say, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. If you follow, and I'm going to use Guru as an example. If you follow his Twitter feed, he's giving a lot of great information and content, and you're following him. And he's not being vulgar, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. So, if you do things in the right order, okay, the order in which the things we do really have a tremendous impact on the success or failure of what you're trying to accomplish. If in embryology, if certain things don't happen in the right order, the fetus is aborted. Organizations, if you do things out of order, I don't care what, it's even more important than the assets that you have, that you accumulate. The order in which the assets are accumulated have a tremendous effect on the success or failure of the enterprise. So if you want to create demand, you say, okay, that's good. So how do what do you do? Well, do you have something to say? Are you interesting? Okay, do you have a particular knowledge base that goes deep? Grant Brogy. Grant is a tremendous follow on Twitter because he's going to do tremendous content, on deadlifting, starting. So whatever that area, if you follow people like that, okay, and you say, well, that's good. Now, I would take it one step further and say they must make themselves independent from whatever platform, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, because these platforms are making it more and more difficult to monetize because they want to sell you advertising, just like Amazon or any platform. Facebook has, you could have 150,000, followers on Facebook, but Facebook will only let you reach 250 people unless you pay them to reach your own people. You want to become, use the social media platforms to build your email list. Okay. Are you guys familiar with a comedian / political commentator? His name is Jimmy Dore, D-O-R-E. And he's,
Mhm.
I would call him an extreme, anti-imperial, anti-colonial, YouTube. He's got 780,000, subscribers, but YouTube
Mhm. Sure.
won't send those people when he gets a new video. So he has his own email list, and he'll email me when he gets a new video. So that's, you want to create demand, have something interesting to say.
Well, one thing that immediately sprung to mind with your example with our good buddy Mark Baker is that in terms of business, you from my perspective, having watched both of you work in action, you are into the new things, exploring new products, like exploring new technologies. Mark is an example of trying to kind of get a piece from probably one of the most well-tread products in the health market. He's a health, lifting, fitness guy, and it's really interesting to hear you talk about him and his approach, because it's from my perspective, I see you guys approaching not business in different ways, but the types of products you're interested. I remember reading about him releasing a Kindle book, and he had to get his first Kindle, and kind of that was a technological thing he was kind of suspicious of, but then grew to like, and things like that. And it's interesting. I mean, in certain ways, you guys are sort of complementary and sort of pointed in different directions in terms of product.
Sure.
So talking about juxtapositions, and I've got to ask you this, Jaffer, during the hour, but I want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin. And I know it's a topic that really in kind of the RWI sphere or telesphere, it's really, I would call it Marmite. You love it or hate it. It's quite a barbell issue. We've had a couple of questions, one related to a book, and have you read the Bitcoin Standard book? And
Yes.
if you have, what did you think of it?
Great question.
I did read it. I didn't think that it was groundbreaking, but I thought it had some good information on the history of money. Okay. That was not, my mindset is very similar in terms of the Austrian school. I mean, I love Hayek. So I believe in the subjective theory of value. But the Talib tribe seems to be split down the middle on Bitcoin. And I don't know Saifedean. I don't know him at all. But the split between in the tribe, if you will, I find myself probably disagreeing with both sides. Okay. But
been there. I have been there.
I like Bitcoin. I hope it works. I've never thought it was a good currency ever. Okay. Because I'm an e-commerce guy. It makes no sense in the United States to be a currency. But do I believe that it is an asset? I think that it could emerge as an asset. And why I say that, I take a different tack than Nassim's mathematical quant point of view, because I believe that if, let's go to the nth degree, if 7 billion people decide that they want to own a piece of Bitcoin, then it becomes de facto valuable, at least for that time, because it's subjective. And he's been very successful at trying to objectify value, and so come with a mathematical quantification of value. Now, me as an entrepreneur, I'm not a quant. I don't make decisions based upon a spreadsheet or a mathematical formula. So I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist who treat it like a religion. And I'm not a quant who want to reduce value to a formula. So I am in between saying, well, that's not where I'm at, but I'm not saying that it is right now a store of value. I said, I believe that it can emerge as one if you reach a certain critical mass, and I don't know what that critical mass is, of adoption. And so right now it's a speculation, but it's a really tremendous speculation in that the left tail is clipped because I'm not gonna short, I'm not going to leverage. I know exactly what my exposure is, but the right tail is tremendously convex. And even Nassim will say it's infinitely convex. So to me, it's a heck of a bet. And you won't find very many bets like that where, okay, I can bet $1, but I might have an unlimited, infinite return. Now that's, I'm
classic, yeah.
To the nth degree, but so yes, it's a speculation. But I'm a captive of how I define value, and I define value just like I define value. So, but I find both sides of the tribe, I think are right and then wrong in some way. And but on the other hand, I don't care about either side being right. I care about, well, I'm putting my money down.
Oh
yeah. And so it doesn't matter what I say, but here's what I'm doing. But I'm not trying to convince somebody else. See, so I have a problem with the Winklevoss and the Michael Saylor and these the Pied Piper kind of people who are trying to entice everybody.
Yeah.
The more that they try to put their thumb on the scale, yeah, they have a personal interest. Well, there's something vulgar about trying to convince your grandmother to put money into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
To me, that's a vulgar idea. So that's not it. But on the other hand, if demand is created for a number of reasons, okay, well, look at El Salvador is going to give $30 of Bitcoin to 4.5 million people. I think that's kind of silly because I don't think that Bitcoin is a good currency from the standpoint of if you run a bodega in El Salvador and you get Bitcoin and then, somebody returns, are you gonna, it's really going to be all pegged to the dollar.
Is that your argument? I wanted to ask not a currency. Is that just because it fluctuates too much to really be able to use effectively as something to buy and sell things?
Well, certainly in the United States, we've got an additional problem of when you spend Bitcoin, it becomes a tax event, becomes a capital gain or loss. Okay, so it's property. It doesn't make a good, so from the IRS standpoint, it doesn't make much sense. From an e-commerce standpoint, I said, well, okay, if I'm going to accept Bitcoin, then somebody buys a $10 flashlight using Bitcoin, well, then they return it because it's defective. Are they going to want Bitcoin back or dollars? The option has to be eliminated from both sides because
you definitely can't have a 30-day return window.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the volatility in one day can go 25%. So if so let's say you have $100 worth of goods and you return it, well, I'm going to give you $100 back, but you can't have the option, oh, I want to get Bitcoin back because its value is completely different. And I can't have the option to give you either Bitcoin or the dollar back either because it's to you. So it's going to be all pegged to the dollar. So its volatility dooms it as a currency from a practical standpoint. in the United States, it's doomed also because it's treated like, capital gains or capital loss, the tax issue. Now that could change, but
there was some
Now,
interesting.
completely clear. Yeah.
There was some interesting small print when Tesla were accepting Bitcoin for that short window of time. In the small print, I think the users noticed that, you can pay in Bitcoin, but Tesla reserves the optionality if you want a refund to refund you either in currency or Bitcoin of their choosing. And obviously they're going to pick the one. Yeah, absolutely.
There's no way not. I was thinking about there's no way not to do that. And the only result is going to be a lot of pissed off customers because the businesses can't take that hit.
Yeah, Overstock has been doing this, for a few years. It's not option. They don't have the option. It's going to be in dollars. Okay, so that at least is fair. But I'm not persuaded that something has to be priced in Bitcoin in order for it to be a currency or an asset. I mean, assets don't need to be priced in. It's going to be priced in dollars anyway. But.
Well, I know very little about economics. I took one microeconomics class in grad school, maybe two, because I think I took a macroeconomics. But I would say that I do kind of fall on the side of if you can buy it and sell it. I don't know what like asset is, in a technical sense, but to a certain degree, if enough people are buying and selling it, then it's going to continue to happen. You know what I mean? So I do agree 100% with you there.
Well, if I said what you said, then let me correct myself.
Oh, my bad if I misunderstood.
The herd, the people, can change direction. So something can be an asset today, but not, a year from now. I mean, but Bitcoin reached 125 million users own a piece of Bitcoin globally in 12 years. It took 20 years to get 100 million users on the internet. So it's the fastest adoption of any technology. It got to 100 million faster than cell phones, faster than TVs, faster than cable, faster than the internet. You name any technology or any network, this has grown faster than any in the history of man.
Can I ask if you got your eye on anything next? Any upcoming technologies or media trends that you're excited to explore?
No. What I want to do is, turn the company over to the employees as soon as I can. I want to retire. I've been humping a long time, guys.
All right. Yeah, that sounds great, man.
Do you fall into the belief that entrepreneurs never truly retire, though?
Yeah, I mean, I've been spending an awful lot of time the last few months trying to figure out what would I do if I retired, and I haven't come up with a really good answer.
Well, in the Chicago winter, I would definitely come out to California for a visit.
Yeah, there you go.
A little bit of travel. Yeah, Fat Tony's meetup. A little bit of, but yeah, if you're interested in looking for things to do, Fat Tony's is always throwing events and little things here and there. So it's secret recruiting. Yeah,
I like it. Shameless plug. Right, we've got just under 10 minutes left. I think we've got time for one last question, and then we'll begin to wrap things up. I'm going to go away from crypto and to a more general one. So, okay, Jafar, when working with people on a business venture, partners, employees, suppliers, etc., what are subtle red flags that a person should look out for that may pose a potential risk to the business?
Well, I've been lucky with partners in that I've known these people. You know, you have to share, not just, you have to share a certain kind of value structure, a value matrix. And by the way, that's one of the tremendous things about what you guys are doing, Fat Tony's or the tribe. And then there is a matrix of values that we seem to share and trust. Okay. And so that's good. Now, my business partners with Pulse TV and I'm in the media, it's my sister and cousin. And so, you know, there's an overwhelming amount of trust. The average employee, by the way, so we have 50 employees, and I believe the average has been with us 14 years. Okay.
Wow.
And in the technology area, that's amazing. Okay. But you know, it's really, you know, for us, we look for certain personality types. You know, are they, you know, going to feel like a team? Okay. So I love sports. So, you know, for me, you know, you look for different team members, you know, and will they fit in with the team? You know, so that's, you know, I don't have any more insight. I don't do most of the hiring anyway, so I think that's probably why they've stayed so long.
I think there's a certain benefit in having level or two apart. Sometimes you can get a high level view, employees, culture, value matrix you talked about. It's not something I've ever conceptualized before, but now you said it, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because I've had the jobs where that value matrix didn't fit, and it's, once you kind of feel that, it's only a matter of time before you have to leave. But it's going to happen eventually. And then on that rare, you know, perfect storm where everything does fit, you also feel it. It's, you know, it's pretty great. So that's amazing. You guys are able to hire to fit like so well with what you guys are doing there.
Right. Listen, guys, we're coming up to the last few minutes. I'd love to talk to you for hours, Jafar, but we're coming up to time. Jack, Jafar, did you have anything you wanted to say in the last few minutes? Jafar, anything you want to plug? Anything you want to mention? Jack, any last questions from your end?
Well,
no, I'll let Jaffer go.
You know, I just want to thank you. I mean, I enjoy these. I enjoy interacting. To me, you know, you've honored me to be a guinea pig twice, and but you know, I'm available. You know, I answer my phone. Okay, so anybody, you know, if you want to put my email address or you know, feel free. But you know, I like the tribe. I like you guys, and it's an honor being part of it.
The honor's all ours. It really is, Jaffer. It's the generosity you've extended towards this community in terms of just volunteering your time is amazing. And I think I speak for Jack and everyone else, but we just can't thank you enough.
Yeah, and it's always you know, it's always so much fun. We tend to have pretty hilarious conversations, you know, but when we're recording Fat Tony stuff and when we're just, you know, talking about whatever. So yeah, it's always a blast. And yeah, I guess for anyone out there, checks out fattonys.net, and all of us are at various places on Twitter, but if you go to the Fat Tony site, you can find anything you need. And yeah, thank you so much. That's it for me.
Yeah, thank you very much. Right, guys, thank you. All right, one last very quick
everyone
thing.
out there.
To all the YouTube people, this is our first ever YouTube live stream. We've sort of gone from Discord to Zoom to now a Zoom YouTube hybrid. Please let us know in the comments. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Would you rather go back to the old format? Any feedback, obviously, we just keep iterating and trying to improve these. But once again, thank you so much, Jaffer. Been an absolute pleasure. And see you on Twitter and see you out there.
You bet. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay.